The one with Justice Court in the middle?
Yep.
Justice Court in the middle.
Okay.
And there's another contracted service under the village manager's office that went from 21,000 to 70,000.
Mm-hmm.
There again, rather broad category. What is that for?
Let's see. Romer, Personing Sworn, expenses for model law that John has used. Those are like court-tested templates, if you will. That's my expression.
But they wouldn't be under village attorney contracted services, where there's another $4,000?
Not necessarily, and the exercise of where that goes depends on where the budget was available and how the accounts payable clerk receives the bill and determines where it should go.
And the reason for it going up $50,000 roughly is there a one-time event or something?
Well, there is an event. I would be more than happy to discuss that in executive session.
Can we schedule that for tomorrow then?
Sure.
Do we have to ask for that in the meeting? Or?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
So executive session will be on the, or we're just gonna ask for it, or can you put it on the agenda? So no one.
You just ask for it, yeah.
All right, so there's a $50,000 increase in the contracted services, which we have to go into executive session for an explanation.
Yes.
I also see that there's a 2% raise that you requested in your salary.
In all, across the board, yes.
All right, I'll just be upfront and frank here and try to be as cordial as possible. I do not agree on the 2% raise for the village manager. All right, be very upfront with you. I think that it's an overpaid position, and pushing over $80,000. I don't think anybody should be getting paid over $80,000 in the village of Horseheads.
It's out of your opinion. We're not going to make change law or anything here.
So we can suggest any changes?
You can suggest, you can't act.
How does it get changed?
Would have to be by motion and approval.
At a board meeting?
Yeah.
And this doesn't constitute a board meeting?
No, it's a workshop. And that's why you can't act.
Okay. I thought any time we had a quorum, we could act.
No. No, a workshop specifically,
Workshop
you cannot
is for conversation.
take action.
Okay. Would that be the appropriate time then at a board meeting to suggest what has been suggested before and even by the mayor, that we look at a part-time village manager as opposed to a full-time village manager? Would that be the appropriate place to do it, not here?
Sure.
You can have a discussion here on that. And I'd be happy to talk about my opinion on part-time, full-time. But do your homework on what other communities are paying for managers of this population, so that you have a full understanding of.
Do you have some examples of some other villages
I
that?
can get them, not this instant, but they're going to NICOM. We've had training sessions on this stuff.
Other villages of what's our population, 6,400, paying an $80,000 full-time village manager? A lot of them do it with a mayoral form of government, so they're not paying that.
Cornell does it with a strong mayor. He's paid $90,000. I don't know if you knew that.
The mayor.
City of Cornell. And so I mean, if you're going to be looking at that type of stuff, you know, do some comparing, see what's out there, and then we'll talk about what has happened here in the 8 years. Why you need a strong full-time manager, and what we found. That's going to be a lengthy conversation.
Can we get that on the agenda somewhere? after we do some research. I mean, you yourself campaigned on that, Mayor, so you must have had reasons for it,
For what now?
for saying that we should have a part-time village
Well, I
manager.
said that at the very beginning of 8 years ago.
Well, you must have had reasons, is what I'm
Well-
saying. Did you do your research then?
It's always something you look at, part-time chief, part-time whatever. We use Matt Mustico, you look at all departments.
Right.
Can you do it on a part-time basis? So then you look at what was found in here and what Walt just had to do. You could not do it with a part-time. This village had to be what I call restructured. And you know we put money in the bank. You know that wasn't a lot there when we moved in. And it needed the 5 days a week, actually it was longer than that because he's here many hours afterwards, just in the energy performance. You know, you saw those papers, you know how extensive that type of project was. And to do it with a part-time person, you need somebody to address a lot of stuff in something like that. So,
Well, I'd commend them on a lot of that stuff, but and applaud a lot of those things. But maybe now we're on a more even keel, and we don't need a full-time village manager. And with the cuts that we've made in other areas, taking our police chief and farm that out to the sheriffs, it may be time to take a look at other positions that might be able to be done part-time, because we're not facing those same things that you faced then.
well,
And things are running
we're
smoother, as
facing
you
the
say.
biggest challenge of the history of Horseheads, and that's losing the amount of sales tax that we're going to lose.
Right, and that's
If
why
I
I'm
may,
addressing
We
it.
need to
If I may,
restructure.
things are running smoothly because you have a full-time village manager. Doesn't necessarily have to be me, but because you have a full-time village manager. And let me tell you something, it isn't getting any easier by quantum leaps and bounds. This governor and the initiatives that he's undertaking, the regulations that they keep imposing, you know, you simply can't do that part-time, and I don't care who the person is.
Well, I wasn't making it personal.
No,
As a
no,
matter
and
of fact, I would-
I'm not taking it personally.
As a matter of fact, if it was a part-time position, I think you should be the first one to be asked if you would move to a part-time position if we ever went to something like that, because you have all the knowledge of it.
Thank you, no. I wouldn't consider it because it couldn't be done, and I wouldn't want to have that reflected. So,
Could it be done with a part-time village manager and a part-time mayor, mayor?
well, you have a managerial form of government, okay? And that has a specific legal obligation and requirements that, in fact, supersede the mayoral form of government that many others have. So to have both is a non sequitur. It doesn't make any legal sense.
But it could be done. It would just be innovative. It would be something that has been done before.
Well, that's certainly true. But the reason it hasn't been done before is because it's not legal. You know, I mean, you got one or the other.
You know,
If you want to do away with the managerial form of government, you have a referendum and do it that way. Or you have a mayoral. You have one or the other.
you know, I guess just about everybody that's sitting in this room has been in the village government or is in the village government right now, except for Mike and Brad. And I can say, I know when we were times when we didn't have a village manager, when we had a new village manager, that what we take for what is running smoothly every day, all of a sudden we find out that there's a lot of choppy waters out there. The department heads certainly step up and help take care of, but also the understanding that the extra hours that the mayor, that the trustees put in to make sure, or try to make sure, that the village runs on that even keel. And I'll tell you what, short of having a full-time mayor, going to a mayoral form of government, put up referendum, fine. I just see what the village manager does. I see what the department heads do on a daily basis. How many hours do I want to spend on top of the reading that I do, on top of the time I'm in here talking with Walt, talking to department heads, talking with John, whatever? It's not just a job that, okay, yeah, I'll come in, take a look at things, pay a couple bills, and it's done. We can look at the energy performance, things that they just went through. There's just, be it arbitration hearings for unions, there's a lot of work that at the surface you don't see. So you know, it's fine, but be careful what you ask for.
Yeah, I'm not gonna continue a lot of this, they're here for the budget, but I will tell you, yes, I made that statement, what can we do part-time? Can we do with a part-time village manager? Once I got in here, and Walt can testify, and George, you two weren't here, we had to restructure because life changed with the village government horrendously. We had to put money in the bank right away. That's it, because so much mandate stuff was coming down, contracts. This village used to make a lot of money in interest. The proof of the pudding is you ask Sharon, Nate, youth, where is Nate? Not here. His division was completely rebuilt. Lots of things were changed. You couldn't have done that with a part-time. My thought, could we do it with a part-time? So I would have to tell you, someday maybe, I'm gonna leave it at that. But to get to where we're at now, after what the county's gonna do to us, we're on a survival mode right now, losing all of that sales tax. And I still feel we can pull this village forward. We will never have the huge fund balance, but survivable money. And I think the classic person you talk to is Sharon. She's dealing with this day to day. And then you get away from Walt's desk. And the other thing is, come in, I talk to Walt every day. I don't need to talk to Sharon. I know her. I remember we sat after I got elected and we went through, I got educated on the dollars and pennies and so forth. So I'm not gonna continue this. We're gonna get back to this budget and get through it. But if you want Walt gone, if you want a part-time village
Well,
manager,
now you're making it personal, I didn't say that.
we
Village
need
man-
to
say
keep
village manager, just-
restructuring, you know.
No, and I didn't take it personally.
We're
Well-
a city. So,
Well, I will do the research that you suggested, and I'd like to bring it back as an agenda
and what
item.
I'm concerned about is, when Walt does step down and retire, what's it going to cost us to get a good one? And I think you're gonna look at
Well, I think it costs us quite a bit right now to
a lot more.
get one, so I don't know, so we'll have to find out, but I would like to bring it back as an agenda item later then, thank you very much.
Yeah, that's no problem.
Okay, can we move to this budget then?
Yep,
So what page are we on now?
we're on the one that starts clerk treasurer.